For decades, America's great cities were the crown jewels of the liberal project. New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Los Angeles, Minneapolis. These cities were meant to be proof that left-wing governance worked, justification for the ideology behind them. But today, many of those same cities are losing people, businesses, and the public's trust. Take a look at this map. This is a prediction for how dramatically electoral votes and congressional representation will have shifted by the 2030 census according to present trends. Oregon, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New York, and Rhode Island are all down 1 point each, and California alone is down an entire 4 points. Even if we exclude the swing states, this is a stark 9-point loss for Democrats. But this population isn't just vanishing, it's migrating, and they're migrating to red states. Idaho, Utah, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina are all up 1 point each. Florida is up 2 points, and Texas seemed to have absorbed most of California's migrants, gaining a whole 4 points. Once again, excluding swing states, that's a net 8-point gain for Republicans and an overall 17-point shift in congressional power at least. The question is no longer whether something has gone wrong for Democrats, it clearly has. The question is whether Blue City America, as it has existed for the last half-century, is coming to an end. There's a common observable pattern. Crime is blamed on temporary disruptions or is outright ignored. Homelessness remains pervasive despite liberal welfare and shelter policies. Retail flight is skyrocketing as a response to unchecked crime, high taxation, and heavy regulation. And populations are fleeing as they feel increasingly unsafe, and that economic opportunity is eroding by the day. This pattern is bleeding blue cities to death, and when we can observe this pattern across nearly every Democrat-run city, we can't just chalk this up to coincidence. What we are observing is a systematic problem, a failure by the Democrats to put forward policy that actually works for their citizens. You might have noticed a recurring trope in the patterns we listed, and that is the issue of crime. Public safety is the foundation of urban life, and it impacts everything. Stores don't want to be in business there if they will be regularly robbed. People don't want to live there if they have to look over their shoulder every day. This means money and manpower shrink, conditions get worse, and crime continues to rise in response. Lack of public safety creates a vicious cycle for cities. Once that erodes, everything else breaks down. Over the last several years, many blue cities embraced a new theory of justice. Less policing, decriminalization of offenses, and a soft-handed approach to penalization, even in the case of serious crimes. Ironically, the violent offenders have it easy, while law-abiding citizens who may be attempting to defend themselves are punished most severely. Some have called this dynamic anarcho-tyranny, but the reality is simpler. It's just a system that can only be described as totally broken. A community, especially one as large as a city, cannot run on slogans and lofty idealism. It needs to be practical, realistic, and trustworthy. When Americans look at their cities today, they see the exact opposite. That's a major problem, and it's a problem that cascades into bigger problems. As crime rises and regulations multiply, businesses and people make rational decisions. Stores close, offices relocate, entrepreneurs move to lower-cost, lower-risk environments. Remote work accelerated what was already happening, and now cities have effectively lost their monopoly on opportunity. Fewer workers mean less revenue. Less revenue means higher taxes. Higher taxes accelerate departure, another crippling, vicious cycle that is bringing these cities to the brink of collapse. Few issues better illustrate urban failure than homelessness. Despite record spending, homelessness has grown in many blue cities, not because of a lack of money, but because policy increasingly prioritizes ideology over outcomes, the backward idea that it is somehow humane or compassionate to allow the homeless to continue being homeless. Public space laws go unenforced. Mandatory treatment is resisted. Encampments are normalized. It's so important to remember that in a lot of these cities, laws are in place to check homelessness and criminal activity, but very often they just go unenforced, and that's a leadership issue. It's an issue that makes it so public space stops being public, neighborhoods deteriorate to the point no one wants to live in them, and transit becomes so unsafe it may as well not exist. The reality is simple. When cities fail to provide the basics, people leave. Florida is the perfect counterexample. Florida's cities face real challenges: growth, housing demand, infrastructure strain, but those are consequences of good governance. They occur precisely because people want to move here, and they are challenges the state is likely to solve. In Florida cities, law enforcement is backed, public order is non-negotiable, business is welcomed with open arms, and government is pragmatic. As a result, Florida cities are growing while many blue cities shrink. People are not fleeing cities just because they dislike cities, they're fleeing dysfunction. The greatest weakness of blue city governance isn't bad intentions, it's a refusal to accept that certain policies don't work and a refusal to adapt to the real needs of their citizens. Unless blue city America confronts the realities it's spent years denying, the decline we're seeing won't end anytime soon. But what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to us for more. This has been Michelle Vesserina with Florida's Voice.